Good day, PC enthusiasts and gamers. Today I would like to talk about my journey of upgrading from an RTX 4070 Ti Super to the RTX 5080. So I'm going to give you the ins and outs of my journey and what I think overall. So let's get to it. Welcome to Uberklocked. Alright, let me give you my system specs here. I'm running an AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D. It's cooled by a Thermalright Prism 360 millimeter all-in-one water cooler. That's very good. Running Team Group's T-Create DDR5 6000 at cache latency 30. Running the Expo on that. Running a Gigabyte X870 Wi-Fi 6 gaming motherboard. Running Western Digital Black SN850X SSD. Started out with the Gigabyte WindForce OC RTX 4070 Ti Super 16 gigabyte model. This is all powered by a Corsair HX 1200 watt power supply, fully modular. All of this is inside my Antec C8 curved wood case, running a 32-inch MSI QD OLED monitor. And all of this is going to be ran on Windows 10 Home. My needs: I do a lot of gaming. I do some content creation, video encoding, that sort of thing. So it has served me well. So the 4070 Ti Super has been an acceptable graphics card. I'm more interested in future-proofing because of the current market issues with all the RAM and everything else going crazy. I figured it might as well go ahead and go up a little before the prices get crazy. The 4070 Ti Super is pretty capable at 4K, but it does struggle in some games. On average, it's between 40 and 70 frames per second with everything turned up. But of course, that's with DLSS and the AI frame gen and all that turned on, which has its pros and cons. Raw power for rendering hasn't been terrible. Most videos render pretty quickly. Hadn't had any issues with that per se. But, you know, the faster these videos would render would be nice. So an upgrade there would be good. The RTX 4070 Ti Super has been a stable graphics card. I hadn't had any bad crashing or any of that. I hadn't had any issues with the power plug. Of course, the only thing is, you know, some weirdness with NVIDIA's drivers as of late. As of this video, I was running the 5080 or the 580-180 drivers, but I did do some testing with the 580-194s to make sure that those Windows Update bugs wasn't related to Windows 10, which I didn't have the update installed for that. It didn't cause any weirdness with that. I didn't see any performance difference. So the reason why I even decided to upgrade is the here a few weeks ago the prices dropped for these guys, the 5080s, and I was able to get one for $979.99 plus tax. That's a historic low for the 5080 and is pretty cheap even for you know, a 4080 back before the 5000 series was released. Those guys were selling for $1,100-$1,200. And of course, you know, when these prices dropped, it piqued my interest a little bit. And of course, there's also the worry of the AI memory consumption. I did learn about Colossus 2 AI data centers. One of them has, I think, 200,000 GPUs. They're bringing Colossus 2 online pretty soon. It'll start with 550,000 GPUs and it would be going up to 1.1 million GPUs. Depending on which model of NVIDIA GPU they've used, it could take up to potentially 500 gigabytes of RAM per GPU. And of course, this has disturbed the market quite a bit. Pricing for things have went crazy, especially for RAM. The T-Create kit of RAM I bought, I paid $89 for it in May, and now it's over $400 for the exact same kit. It's absolutely ridiculous. This memory shortage has caused all the GPU manufacturers to postpone their next launches. I guess they're more interested in fulfilling contracts. I suppose that's probably more important than worried about consumer products because there's no contracts with those. I assume maybe some of the suppliers have contracts with them, but there's always open-endedness on timing for that. Otherwise, they wouldn't always delay them. But we're looking at delays on top of delays, and now they're talking about middle of the year for the 50 Super Series, maybe even later than that. And of course, NVIDIA and AMD, they're not going to waste their time or RAM on consumer GPUs for now. They've got these big contracts they are all under to get a little different. The 4070 Ti Super that I have is a little bit smaller form factor, which is odd. You'd think they would have faster fans and it would just simply be noisier than the 5080, but the 5080's heat output or energy output or consumption is much higher and requires better cooling. So at full speeds, it's much noisier. As a matter of fact, it was 9.1 decibels higher than the 4070 Ti Super with its fans on full. 9.1 decibels is actually pretty noticeable. It's a big deal. But overall, if you're not going to overclock and you're not worried about heat too bad, I would say leave it on its auto settings for the fans, and they're pretty quiet.
Estaré aquí toda la noche.
¡Hey! ¡Cuidado, niños!
As soon as we find a good spot, we can get things set up and ready to go. And then we can get started.
This is gonna be great!
You bet.
Yeah.
I hope we find them soon.
Look!
Hard to park!
Aye!
There's so many.
They're exceptionally agitated. Could they be chasing something?
It's a person! Bring us closer!
And crash right into them!
We're still too far away!
What do we do? Hold on. What's that?
That's all right.
Can you reach it?
I have to try.
I'm coming too!
Nice. All right. Welcome!
Please
Go ahead. Help yourselves.
Now, I did say I would talk a little bit about overclocking. 5080s as a whole apparently overclock well. They have a lot of headroom, and I found that to be exactly true on this 5080 from PNY, the OC model. My results confirm this. I also have a real life friend who bought the exact same model of card from a different vendor and had almost identical overclocking experience. We were both able to get plus 400 megahertz on the core and way more than 3000. So 3000 megahertz on the RAM, or mega transfers, however it's calculated, generated no artifacting, and that was the limit of MSI Afterburner. And of course, MSI Afterburner hasn't supported 3000 on memory up until very recently, and I even tried to modify it to allow more, but there's currently no easy way of doing that yet. But hopefully they'll allow more than 3000, because I think I would like to see it at least artifact during benchmarks so that I know that I've hit its limits, and then back it down a little bit from there to see where the headroom really stops at. But overall, 400 plus on the cord, 3000 on the memory was fantastic.
Estaré aquí toda la noche.
¡Hey! ¡Cuidado, niños!
As soon as we find a good spot, we can get things set up and ready to go. And then we can get started.
This is gonna be great!
You bet.
Yeah.
I hope we find them soon.
exceptionally agitated. Could they be chasing something?
It's a person! Bring it closer!
And crash right into them!
We're still too far away.
What do we do? Hold on. What's that?
That's all right.
Can you reach it?
I have to try.
I'm coming too.
Welcome!
Please
Go ahead, help yourselves.
So I didn't do anything with artificial intelligence in the benchmarks, and I didn't use any kind of super resolution or frame gen. None of that tech was used. However, it is something to be considered. Like I said before, this is the 5000 series cards, the latest generation from NVIDIA. And NVIDIA and AMD both are locking the newer generations of this software and capabilities down to their latest gen cards. Dirty tactics on their end to get you to buy new cards every time they come out with something new, but if you're going to buy something new right now, it still makes sense, or it does make sense, to buy the latest gen, unless pricing ends up being an issue there. Now, the 5080 will require at least resolution scaling in order to run close to what my monitor's refresh rates are. It's 165 Hertz. So if you want to run 165 frames per second in games at 4K with the settings cranked, you're probably going to have to turn on the DLSS to quality setting at minimum. Some games may require you to bump that down further. If you're not interested in the difference in the input lag caused by frame gen, you could try using frame gen. But overall, the super resolution or the resolution scaling is a better option to adjust to get more frame rate at first. You're not going to cause lag in your input. Quality setting, we can run close to quality setting. We can run close to the 160 frames per second or 165 in most games. That would allow my monitor to sync up close to its maximum refresh rate. Now, there's something else that we have to talk about here. I moved from a 4070 Ti Super, which is technically running the same core as the 4080, but they turned it down a little bit and repackaged it. And with that said, the 4080 and the 4090s and the 5080 and the 5090s are all melting these power plugs, and that's a big concern. This 12 volt high power plug problem is an issue. It's concerned me. With my research, I found that it is actually a minority of people having problems with this, but I definitely wouldn't want to deal with a burned up graphics card because of this problem. And right now, everybody is still pointing at each other. You know, power supply companies pointing at the graphics card manufacturers, graphics card manufacturers pointing at the power supply companies, and no one wants to own up to the problem. There's been quite a few different solutions to it, but I think overall, one of the best things to consider is get a modular power supply that has enough power to carry it well without overheating. I chose an 80 plus that's platinum rated so that it doesn't heat up. I also have a 12 volt power plug that goes directly from my power supply to the GPU. There are no adapters, dongles, or anything in between. And of course, my case is quite roomy. There is no hard bend right there at the graphics card, as you can see, that would cause that to not connect well. Because ultimately, what they're saying is that the connection gets loose or doesn't connect well, creates a resistance problem, and that causes things to get really hot. And of course, if it gets too hot, it'll melt or even burn.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
done yet? Changing tactics, I see. More parts for me to dismantle.
So overall, I'm happy with my purchase. I don't think it was a bad deal. I think for that price currently in the market, that $979.99 was a really good deal for a 5080, especially an OC model, and especially after I put it in and benchmarked it and overclocked it. I'm very happy with it overall. It renders videos much faster, and it definitely gave me a good 20 to 30 frames per second boost in games at the raw performance level. And of course, when you include the uplift from frame gen 3, 3x, or 4x, there's also potential more headroom there, even still, which I haven't even touched yet. So there's plenty of headroom for modern games that could, tax this graphics card better or worse than what I've got now as far as games are concerned. So I'm looking forward to some really good looking games that will flex its muscles and allow it to work its tail off. But I'm saving the frame gen stuff for later for those games that may tax it harder. I highly recommend that you consider the PNY cards. They've been in business for quite a long time, and these cards are cheaper usually. I don't know. I guess they do have higher end models with RGB elements to them that's, got more buttons and whistles, or I say more bells and whistles, if you will. But I don't really care anything for the extra lighting. I just want a card that performs well, that's cheap. And this fits the bill. So, thank you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe. That helps the channel out a great deal. Give me a comment. That also helps as well. And I hope you have a very blessed day.